All right, defining travel corridors, that's what we're doing today. I got a new color ribbon, which I know you guys saw in our last video what that's like. But we're gonna load up the four-wheeler, grab some things in case we need them, chainsaw and the like, and see where we think is gonna be best for the deer to travel between our stands and the locations that we have picked out, making sure that you know, it's as far from access as possible, but also getting them close enough to our stands to give us a shot. And you know, making sure it's accessible from where they're bedding and the legs. We also have our new access done. It was done this past week. So we have you know, our human access trail going all the way around the property now. It looks great. It was a good time. I'll try and talk about it more later. We also widened some areas so we can get this little trailer back to load up wood, stands, and things like that. So at least, you know, 8 to 10 feet wide. But I'll give you a little preview of that now. All right, so hopefully you got a little glimpse of the part of the access trail, how it's pretty nice and wide. That was the first time we actually took the trailer down it, so I apologize if the footage is a little shaky back and forth and sideways. So, but here is also a bridge that we built a couple weeks ago, Daniel and I, and it came out great. We've been over it twice. This is the first time taking the trailer back though, but I don't see a problem. It's super sturdy. It came out really well. I can always do another video on that if you guys want, but basically it's almost all 2x6s. We also cut a couple stumps and put stumps under the corners and stuck some re-rod, but it's basically all 2x6s. I have 4 of them as the main base, kind of like a floor. And then 2x6s across with a 1.5 inch gap. And we used these little spacers actually here as kind of the in-between for setting the space evenly. And you can see here rest of the access trail that goes around the whole property. I'll try and get more of a time lapse around the whole thing just for you guys to see, but when they came with that forestry mulcher, it worked great. And we used Ron from Mid-Michigan Land and Brush Clearing, I think it is. They're on Facebook. You'll see my review there as well, but he was a phenomenal guy. We had a ton of fun. He just knows what he's doing, and he knows, you know, hunting, and he does this all the time. So it was super simple to give him instructions and then have him do what we needed. He knew it. And a lot of the access, you know, we wanted very straight, and it is. For me, not coming through and clearing all the big trees with the chainsaw first, just because I'd never used a forestry mulcher or seen one in use, it's still like perfectly straight. So with just a very few trimmings and a couple trees to fell, I mean, it's going to be perfect. He also did a couple spots that we're going to have a food plot going through, and a couple spots to like a tree stand or a blind that just would have taken us, you know, a half day to clear. So why not? Anyway, so we are going to go over to our food plot trail and start our travel corridor. So we're going to head that way now. All right, guys, so we're just about to where our entrance from our food plot is going to go into the woods. So for us, again, if you refer back to season 2, episode 1, where we went over the whole strategy, we basically have our main travel corridor that's not, you know, our food trail in the woods. So it's not going to be a food plot, but it's just going to be a travel corridor through the woods. And you can see here, we have some flags on the ground, and this is what is marking where our food plot is going to hit the woods. So I have one over here, and then, oh, they're actually both right here. So right here, basically, and you can see, I don't know if you can see the tree stand up there, but right here is where the food plot is going to enter the woods. And so basically, from the middle of this food plot trail that hits the woods here, we are going to start tagging just like we did our human access, but I have tape, a different color tape, and we're going to tag just the route that we want the deer to go. And for this, of course, most of you know, but we want, you know, no straight lines for this. This is where we actually want the travel corridor to kind of meander a little bit, be a little bit off of our human access trail, so they're not picking up that scent and hopefully not seeing us if they do happen to be on it, even though realistically it will be a little bit close because we're trying to leave as much bedding over that way as possible. So kind of meandering, and then also touching within 20 yards or so of our tree stands. So not only do we need to meander, but we need to make sure we come within, you know, a certain distance of the stands, and then keep going to the next one, dip in a little bit, meander back, and then you know, touch the next stand. We plan on having probably 3 stands back here, and then it's going to come out the other field on the opposite side, on the east side, that you've probably seen on the map, and it's going to do the same thing. It's going to go right into the middle of where the food plot trail picks up, and then cuts through the rest of the property and kind of circles around. So a big circle like you guys have seen. So we're going to head in, start tagging trees of where we want it to go. I also have a different color tape, and the different color tape is going to be for trees that we're either going to hinge alongside perpendicular, or fell if we think that it's just a big tree and it's blocking in too much sun and the hinges won't live. Remember, there's no point in doing these hinge cuts if they're not going to get enough sunlight, and they're just going to die. You've just completely wasted the tree essentially. You have a little bit of side cover, but it's not going to grow anymore, and it's eventually just going to be flat on the ground. So we're going to mark hinge cuts, mark trees to fell with different color tape, mark the travel corridor, and kind of go from there. So we'll be on our way. All right, so we just picked the last stand location out or two, and we came out to this field here, and I'll show you. So same thing, we went all the way through the woods. You can see here, I have my my little flags, and then you can see right here in the woods, I have my green tape. And I was a little more excessive with this just because it is meandering, and I wanted to be able to keep track. And I'm going to be doing, I mean, you can see, I know this is the front, so it's a little brushier, but it's still very thick here, and we're going to be doing quite a few cuts. So I wanted to be quite specific on where this is, and I'll come back and I'll clean it all up. It's not a big deal, it takes a second. I'm going to now follow these green flags back, fill in some gaps that I didn't have, maybe mark some other trees. We didn't end up marking all the hinge cut trees just because there's so many. It seemed like excessive to mark everything, but we definitely need to let more sunlight in a lot of these areas, or those hinge cuts are just going to die. So that pretty much wraps it up, guys. We're going to fill in the gaps on the way back, mark the tree stands if they're not already set up with a different color, just so we know where they are, and we make sure that all the hinges are perpendicular to the trail, and so the deer have, of course, an access to leave if they choose, or if they come from the property surrounding, right? I mean, in the morning time, they could definitely be in the ag fields at night coming back to their bedding, and they may cross other properties, get to ours, hop on the trail, and work their way back to the center of the property to bed. So that is a perfect reason of why we want these hinge cuts and things to be perpendicular to the access, and also not block our human access and make it difficult for us. Since we just had this trail put in, we don't want any trees to come down and block our path as well for the trailer and such. The other thing I'm not going to be doing is spraying herbicide. I know I've said it before. On the travel corridor, remember, it's good for them to have the browse and perfectly lead them to the other green herbaceous growth in the food plots. So we may mow, we may keep things kind of manicured for them to travel, but we're not going to spray herbicide and just make it, you know, bare dirt by any means. But that's all I had. Kind of a short video today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know even though a different subject, same type of flagging and prep for the travel corridors. Probably have some reviews coming up. We did get a new chainsaw, and we've picked up another couple tools. One is by LogX. It's to help with rotating logs to cut them and such, and you know, kind of an expensive tool for that you know, particular job. So kind of find out if that's worth it or not. As well as the habitat hook from Nations Creations, I believe it's called, and I'm just kind of testing that out. So stay tuned. If you haven't already, you know, please subscribe. We appreciate all your support, and we'll see you guys next time.